We're live.
Good morning, everybody. Man, whose idea was this to stream early in the morning like this?
Good.
I know it's only 10 o'clock for me, but that's still early by my book.
We're getting hyped on cereal though, Mike. Sugar.
Yeah, I know. Sugar.
Yeah.
Everybody have their cereal.
Yeah. Everybody's hyped up.
Yeah, everyone.
Everybody's got their cereal.
I got Count Chocula.
Count Chocula.
All right. Winner prize.
Honeycomb.
Captain Crunch, honeycomb. Look what's Jesse got. The cranberry and blueberry. Blueberry, sorry.
All busted out with the cereal real quick.
Yep. All ran to the store last night to buy some. But anyways, so nostalgia power, right? This is what we've been hyping for the last week. We're bringing back Saturday mornings. Something that I think probably sits a little near and dear to everybody here in the chat too. Saturday morning was a big part of our week. You know, everybody looked forward to getting up early in the morning Saturday. I mean, there had to have been a good reason to make you want to get up at 7 a.m. on a day that you didn't have school, right? And it seems like that has kind of just went away. I don't know. Somehow it disappeared at some point. I know kids now, they don't get to experience that. They don't have that incentive like we did to get up in the morning. But anyways.
But we had to get up or else we wouldn't have seen anything.
Well, that's
right. Exactly.
You know.
And it was a ploy just to keep kids in the habit of getting up early. That's what it was. You know, keep them because for a lot of people you had Monday through Friday you had school, Saturday you had cartoons, and then Sundays, if you were religious, you had religious obligations. So you were up early all week. If you think about it, that's why I say it was a scam.
So do you think like parents had something to do with this?
Yeah.
I think the Cartoon Network killed the Saturday morning cartoons because having cartoons 24/7, like
available, all that was my ideas too.
Totally.
Like streaming networks, things like that. Like Jesse said,
they were never as good.
No, you had to, if you wanted to see all your favorite cartoons, all the new episodes premiered on Saturday, right? Oh, I got somebody running around behind me back there.
Nerd Lounge Master 84. His daughter's still sleeping.
Still asleep. Oh, it's because the new episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles isn't on right now, right?
Who do we have in the chat? Let's give a shout out to everybody. We got Nerd Lounge Master 84, G.I. Joel, Multicade Matt, Andy's Game Room, Hot Rangus. It was awesome meeting you, man. MJ 87.
It's my brother.
Hungry Wolf Garu.
Brother bad guy.
Your brother?
Yep.
Sand Spirits. Showcase. Am I saying that right? Showcase.
Showcase. What's up, Showcase?
And there's the Tech Buzz Gaming, Stephen Hayward.
Yep. What's he got?
Yeah.
Game hunting, college football, baseball playoffs. Yeah. So sounds like a pretty jam-packed day. I think we addressed pretty much everybody, right? If we didn't, sorry. So we kind of touched on a little bit what we thought killed Saturday mornings. So I kind of wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. You know, we'll start off with something negative before we get into all our fun experiences. But so is that seems like to be the overall opinion that like the streaming networks had a lot to do with that. The 24-hour cartoon channels, because I mean, how many of them do you have now? You know, with Cartoon Network and Disney and Nickelodeon and all that kind of stuff.
You know what? I would take it one step further, though, Mike. Blame The Simpsons, because The Simpsons was a cartoon that cracked in the 80s and it became a prime time thing. Yeah. Now, out in eastern parts of the world, like in Japan, showing cartoons in the evening was not a big deal. They did it all the time. But for Western audiences, it was truly something new. It was something novel. And, so the idea was the Simpsons breaking the mold in the United States and taking over in that regard. So now it's like, yeah, we can put cartoons on at night. And maybe that's what gave the networks the ideas, like Cartoon Network and all that, where we can run cartoons 24/7. It doesn't need to be one specific time of day. But I think it all starts with The Simpsons in the U.S.
Do you think The Simpsons had the same demographic though? I mean, as like The early morning kid.
Well, not necessarily, but it did have that. It did try to go for that family appeal. So I don't know.
I remember
That's an
early
interesting-
on
that's a good
watching The
question.
Simpsons as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think my parents really understood
Yeah,
what it really was. You know,
who didn't let us watch The Simpsons? Raise your hand right now. I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons when I was a kid.
Oh, I can
Okay.
watch anything.
So I started to watch it, you know, and then I think my parents realized what it actually was, and then I was not allowed to watch it.
Yeah, my parents brought me to Friday the 13th when it first came out.
Oh, jeez.
Sit here
He
by
was
yourself.
a good boy.
I'm not kidding
Such
you
a
either.
good boy.
We went to every
Oh,
horror
man.
movie. Even the people at the where they got the tickets, they would say, I don't think this movie's good for these kids. And my parents were like, oh, they're okay. Don't worry about it. I had night terrors like for years.
Freddy Krueger, you don't want to fall asleep because he will invade your dreams.
Yeah.
Like, how terrifying is
kidding.
that as a kid?
That
I'm
glove
not
coming
kidding.
up through your bed and just like working its way down your mattress. Like,
Yeah. Oh God, I could.
oh
I
my
could
gosh, what
keep
do
you
they
here
think
for
of this
hours
stuff?
telling you. That's why I think I'm into horror.
Oh,
Just-
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you saw any of those horror movies below a certain age, you're going to grow up into horror
Yep.
the same way certain people have grown up to love highbrow cinema. We look at horror like
Yep.
highbrow cinema because we were seeing these movies at 4 and 5 years old. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember watching Friday the 13th. You know, my dad was watching it, and my mom in the background. You better not be letting those kids watch that. And yeah, I was around the same age, 4 or 5 years old, thinking it's the coolest thing in the world until it was lights out, time to go to bed, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't that cool anymore.
No, it wasn't. No.
All of a sudden, every noise you
Yeah.
heard, the Jason
Bobby,
was creeping
ooh.
outside. Hey, Bobby Vu. So another thing from that I think may have had a big part in killing off the Saturday morning thing. So all those cartoons, everybody knows, were all pretty much pushing toys, right? Like that was pretty much their main objective. And there was a law or something, and correct me if I'm wrong, that passed somewhere in the either late 80s or early 90s that the FCC put in that basically did not allow them to do that anymore. Like, you couldn't just be a half an hour long toy commercial. Do any of you guys know what I'm talking about?
Not that one, no.
I had heard something vague in regards to that, but I don't know if that law was really particularly effective. And I'll tell you why. Because as the years have gone on, in particular, they had, I don't know if you are aware of this, you may be because you're a fan, but Thundercats had a reboot in 2011.
Oh, 2011.
And the reboot was a fantastic reboot, very well written, a very story driven, cartoon that was definitely more adult than the one from the 80s that we grew up with. But here's the thing, that was canceled after one season. And the reason it was canceled was because the toys for that cartoon were not selling. All of those cartoons are created for the sole purpose of selling these toys. So if the toys don't sell, it doesn't matter how well received the cartoon is, because it's viewed as a failure because people are not buying. The toys are the driving factor. So you have that. This is one of the reasons why, Transformers has endured for as long as it has, because people keep buying the toys. The toys continue to sell no matter what. I remember, I think I mentioned this to you, Phil, about that Optimus Prime that can transform by itself and can talk.
And it's huge.
It's huge.
Oh, yeah.
And
think about it. That was in the back of George Lucas's mind when he did Star Wars. He knew it was going to be a big toy push.
And that was in the 70s, yeah.
That was in the 70s, yeah.
And didn't George Lucas secured all of his licensing rights? He was 100%.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher once made a statement and said she didn't know, when she first seen her toy, Princess Leia doll, she realized that, he owns my face. And she couldn't do anything about it, you know, and it kind of ticked her off a little bit at first, she said, because, you know, she realized it was her on that doll, but it wasn't her. She didn't own her.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it was fun.
George Lucas, man, he was a smart guy. I mean, that falls on their agents, you know. But
yeah, especially back at that point, because I think that was like the beginning of the push of toys with movies and stuff. You know?
And,
Right,
and the whole reason that George Lucas was able to make that kind of a brilliant deal was because the studio didn't believe in the movie. So they were willing to give George Lucas anything he wanted because they expected it to be a failure. So they were like, George, you're never going to sell these toys. Nothing is going to happen.
Nobody's going to want to see this silly movie.
You can have the rights to it. Fine, whatever. But George knew. So see, that's the thing. But I honestly feel like every cartoon, at least every cartoon released in America, is solely created for the purpose of selling toys.
Right.
Look at when they brought He-Man back, early 90s. It wasn't the same Masters of the Universe. Those toys were not the same. And you're right, Seth. They didn't last.
Are you talking about the Adventures of He-Man? The one where He-Man had the short hair. And
yes,
they left Eternia and they went somewhere else. And Skeletor followed them into space, and it was a completely different continuity, but they tried to make it, they tried to tie it in with the old filmation. They tried to tie it in because they wanted to they wanted to try and get people to be excited for it just as much, and those toys didn't move.
No, they weren't.
Nobody bought those toys. New Adventures of He-Man with the ponytail. Exactly.
Right. Look at the toys from our childhood. They're bringing back now. Like we go to Target, we see Masters of the Universe.
Ninja Turtles everywhere.
That just shows you it sold then and it sells now.
Yep. They're hard. I mean, how hard are these things to get? You know, I got a whole shelf behind me that has all the real Ghostbusters. They started re-releasing all those. You don't know how hard it was to find a complete set. Space He-Man was ass.
yeah, it's terrible. Like then he should never have existed. And you know, He-Man had that reboot afterwards where they rebooted He-Man, and the same thing happened to that show that happened to Thundercats in 2011, where it only went for one season, and then it had a final episode that it wasn't even allowed to air because the toys.
Back in 2011 when they did the Thundercats, like Reebok shoe had this deal, and I totally missed out on this, where they would come with one of the lions, like you could connect them all if you could get these shoes. Like, how cool would that have been? I mean, to this day, like just even the spaceship Voltron. I mean, it's cool, but I mean, I got the shirt on. I mean, the lions. I mean, that was so cool when we were kids.
Based off of, and you know, for me, Voltron being one of those must-see cartoons, and then as an adult, then I found out about Beast King Go Lion, which is the Japanese version that our version is based off of, and you watch the Japanese version and you see all the blood and gore and violence that's in the Japanese version that was cut out of the child's cartoon. Cut out for Western audiences, and I've never been able to go back. Now, whenever I watch Voltron, it has to be Beast King Go Lion with English subtitles because I like that so much more with the more adult storyline. And the funny part is it's like you're getting it shows you just how different on a level cartoons were in Japan versus what we get. And the thing of it is that they're made for a different audience. And I have to wonder if in Japan, I don't think it's the same mentality where they make cartoons just to sell toys. That could be one reason, but it's not the only reason. They consider animation to be a legitimate entertainment art form in Japan. So they don't just look at it as a way of selling other things. They look at the actual cartoon as a property that's going to sell itself.
Mhm.
Whereas in the United States, they look at it as if it doesn't sell toys, it's a failure.
It's a
No
marketing.
matter how good it is. And that's just sad to me. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the Thundercats reboot, in my opinion, was awesome. And we should have been able to get at least one more season out of that for sure.
It was
And I
all
think
because of
that's what-
toy sales.
Exactly.
That's what made Power Rangers like appeal to me. In 1994, when Megazord and Dragonzord and Titanus, or is it Titanus came out, I was past that age. Like I was already 8th grade. I knew buying those they'd be worth something, and I collected all those Power Rangers because it reminded me of Voltron. Like that's what Voltron was. It was huge.
Oh yeah, that's what got me into Power Rangers, because I was, maybe like 8 or 9 when that came out, and I'm like, wait a minute, this thing combines into all these to form a giant robot. I'm like, that thing looks just like Voltron. And
Vehicle Voltron was another one that they ruined when they released it here.
Yeah.
They took all the good stuff out of it and made it completely ridiculous where it doesn't even make
I don't
sense.
think I remember.
And if you watch the Japanese version, and I can't remember the name of it right now because it's a Japanese name, but it's totally different. It's a totally different story. It's actually a lot better. You'll actually enjoy Vehicle Voltron if you watch the actual Japanese version.
I see Stock Jocks in the chat. I just want to make sure, Stock Jock, you're eating your Count Chocula, because I know he's got like 7 boxes of Count Chocula. He said,
Wow.
like
He'd buy a crate of it.
think-
He was
I
prepared
can't
for
remember.
Halloween.
His sister or his daughter, somebody gives him Count Chocula every year. I thought.
Somebody gives it to him. Oh yeah, wait, he did tell
I
us
thought
that.
he said something about that. I just want to show. I love, when it comes down to it, I'm always getting the Count Chocula every October. Like this is the cereal of the month, and when we give away the prize later on, every month, throughout October, we're going to be using this.
You know what? That's a good idea, Phil. I think we should do that every month. We should have a cereal
Right.
of the month that we should focus
That's awesome.
on a specific cereal.
idea.
That would work.
Let me write that down right now.
Cereal of the month.
Speaking of that, here's a memory I have when I was a kid. My bedroom was right off of the kitchen, right? And one of these boxes was on the table. I forget exactly which one it was, but I remember now. I don't know. I'm going to say I was dreaming. So I must have dreamt that I came out of my room and I went out into the kitchen and I passed the box, and I remember the eyes following me. I could see the eyes moving. But there was a lot of creepy things about my house. So I'm just going to say it was a dream, but I'm not actually
You may
sure
have
if it
conjured
was.
that up yourself.
I don't know. Yeah.
Paranoia,
But I do
maybe.
I do remember that. Every time I look at these things, that's what it reminds me
Well,
of.
I remember those cereal boxes way back in the day. Remember the back of them? They had like the cutout where you can actually wear the mask. You guys remember that with the Boo Berry and Frankenberry?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did
We'd
that.
always do that, and they never lasted more than, I don't know, about 20 minutes before they got torn. But
I had this Star Wars book, and there were masks in every page. And there was like one Christmas, like 85, 86, we all put the masks on. It was really funny. But yeah, you can only wear them once because, every time you blink, like it would scratch your eyelids. And...
Right, it was just so uncomfortable.
Star Blazers, just to give Star Blazers a little bit of love, since somebody said it in the chat here.
Carl.
Star Blazers is fantastic. And again, the Japanese version, which is Yamato, which Star Blazers is based off of, is fantastic as well. But Star Blazers, they actually tried to make the American version just as compelling as the Japanese version. That's an example. It's similar to Robotech, because Robotech tried to do the same thing where they tried to adapt Macross a little bit more accurately and tried to depict the storylines closer to what they were originally supposed to be. And with Star Blazers, you really were getting a science fiction epic in cartoon form. So yeah, I absolutely love Star Blazers.
I just want to address Saiyan Spirits. What you
Your
said
house.
there. Yeah. I know this ain't the forum. I know this ain't the forum to get on into that, but there was truth to that. I'll just say that. So
We're gonna have a spooky episode.
Yeah,
as
well,
my God.
As we get closer to Halloween, yeah, we can
We'll say
focus
some-
on.
I'll tell you some
We
of
got some
horror
good
movies
80s stories.
Yeah,
That's for
some of
sure.
the stories you won't even believe, but I can guarantee you they are true.
That's,
And I would believe it coming from you, Jesse. I mean,
Yeah, I'm telling you,
some people would
yeah.
be BSing you, but
They
That's awesome.
definitely was true.
Jesse, do you have a ghost detector?
No,
Oh.
no, EMP detector. No, I should have walked through. I should have walked through that house with that thing. That thing would have rung off like
it just
crazy.
would have exploded as soon as you brought it in the front door and flipped it on.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
What was the
Smoke
story
would've
with the
came out.
house? I mean, we get into it later, but it wasn't like built on some ancient Indian burial ground or something, was it?
A lot of deaths in the house. Even before,
Wow.
before I lived there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would.
Yeah, it was
That
a
would
couple
do it.
100-year-old house. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
don't-
bad.
I'm not too familiar with Star Blazers. Was that one of those cartoons?
Oh, it's brilliant.
I-
was it them what like
I don't-
one
I'm
and
not
done
either.
cartoons lasted a season and that was it? Like,
No, it was an epic. It went for like, I want to say it went for 3, maybe 4, if I'm not mistaken.
really?
It was amazing. That, like Showcase Kaz just said, they adapted it from start to finish. It was like they did it right. That's the first Japanese anime that they actually did the way they should have, and it was done really well. The English dubbing was actually really good for the time, and it's to this day it's amazing. I actually downloaded a fan set of Star Blazers where they actually reconstructed it and remastered it and put it all in HD. It looks beautiful. Yeah, it's great.
Those little Debbie Star Crunches are so like as adults now. I mean, I guess I'm adult, but they're so small. Like you could
Star Crunch, you can eat a whole box for
Oh,
breakfast.
Yeah. I had to bring that up because I totally forgot that those were even a thing. The Star Crunches.
Does
Oh,
anybody
man.
on this panel remember Hostess Choco Bliss? I just want to know because I used to have those when I was
Yeah,
when I went to
vaguely.
school. I've never been able to locate those in the modern era. I know they're gone, but I just remember them being the most awesome
I don't remember those.
snack.
No, I don't.
Vaguely, I do.
The Ninja Turtles pudding pie. Have you ever had those? Remember the Hostess apple or cherry pie that they
Yeah.
was disgusting, right? But
Yeah.
the pudding pie, the turtles, like it was so good.
I don't remember those either.
Oh,
I would
man.
have to say I ate one at some point.
I was into
there was
the,
Ninja
like a
Turtles on it. I
Boston
probably
cream donut.
yeah.
I was into the Hostess
I remember
marshmallows,
those.
snowballs.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember those?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I
In
was
the grocery
addicted to
store
that.
does like deals like 4 for $5 or 5 for $5. Like it's justifiable, right? You just get all looped up with those things.
I used to love Twinkies when I was a kid too because Twinkies used to taste different
Yes.
than what they taste like now.
They do
I don't
now,
know
yeah.
what they are now,
Oh
but
my
Yeah,
gosh.
they're
but
different.
back
now.
then
Yeah.
they were amazing.
Even the
Do you
secret sauce on the Big Mac tasted different than it
Oh,
does
yeah.
now. Like everything was better in the 80s and 90s.
You're right.
Okay, so do you remember the debacle when Hostess decided that they weren't going to make Twinkies anymore and everyone went nuts and they started
Right,
buying
nuts.
Twinkies and they kept them? Well, I have a box. I have to find it. It's from back then, so I wonder how the Twinkies taste. You think they held up? I don't know.
They
Probably,
kinda like
probably.
that, right?
They say
Well,
it sticks
somebody
in your
said you
stomach
could-
for like
yeah.
3 years.
Somebody said you could have stocked up on Twinkies and kept them in a bomb shelter during a nuclear war and
Right.
lived
They
lived
survived
off of
nuclear
them.
Holocaust.
I don't-
The
yeah, I don't
cockroaches-
know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not taking a chance.
Well,
I would. I
there
used
you go.
to love,
One week,
love
live
classic Twinkies.
unboxing of
I was-
30-year-old Twinkies.
We'll do it and I'll eat it all live.
And
See
I'll
what
eat
happens.
Batman cereal, and we'll see who gets sick first.
And as
Oh,
long
yeah.
as you survive, it's fine.
It's all good.
It's oh man.
Twinkies can live through a nuke. I believe.
Yeah,
I believe it. Yeah.
top ramen.
Those
tastes
Twinkies
better.
could. The ones that they make now, I don't think could though. The ones
And
they
they're a
make
lot
now are
smaller
just garbage. They're
Yeah,
not
I don't know.
yeah.
I've had them. They, I don't know, they taste like they're kind of like rubbery almost.
They are. They're rubbery.
Yeah, the
Oh,
rubbery,
man.
the rubbery
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
and
what
then
is that about?
they tried to make up. Did you notice how they tried to make up for it by making like different flavors? Like,
Yeah,
well, we'll do
strawberry.
banana, we'll do
Yes.
strawberry, we'll do.
Yeah, we just want the
I
original.
think
We don't
it
want
was-
chocolate Twinkie.
And then they said bananas kind of, and a lot of people are telling you, will try to tell you, well, banana is close to the original. And I'll be like, no, I was
No.
there. Banana
Yeah,
does not
me
taste like
too.
the
I
original.
was there a lot.
There's no
Right.
way.
Remember in
tasted like
Ghostbusters? In Ghostbusters, like tell them about the Twinkie. He's like, "What about the Twinkie?
It's like-
What about
it's
the
like-
Twinkie?
Phil, it's like Ecto Cooler, man. It's like Ecto Cooler. Unless you haven't lived until you've had Ecto Cooler.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh! Remember the Sunday sauce at Hardee's during Ghostbusters? They had the green, like hot fudge or whatever that was. I don't know if it was caramel over the ice cream. Like it was so big, the Ecto. Just slime in general. We got to do an episode about Double Dare, and you can't do that on TV.
because
Oh, Double
they had the
Dare.
Mark
slime
Summers.
was everywhere.
What's up with that guy now? Is he still alive? Mark Summers? Is he doing?
He's just sitting in his
Oh,
mansion
man.
somewhere
With his white
Yeah.
sneakers on.
mansion. I thought he was living out of his car eating Taco Bell. I don't know.
Was he?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man.
He spent all that Double Dare money, I guess. Didn't save it.
Well, he spent it on Twinkies and lost. I don't know.
Wasn't there parting prize on that show? Wasn't it Skechers shoes?
Oh man.
Because my daughter and I, every time we came up with the idea because every time someone lost, they would give out Skechers. So anytime we seen Skechers on somebody, we would say to them, "Oh, Skechers, the shoes for losers."
They lost on Double Dare.
I don't understand why when that last Ghostbusters movie came out, Afterlife, they didn't re-release Ecto Cooler as a tie-in for that movie. See, I don't understand why
Missed opportunity.
companies nowadays don't capitalize on that nostalgia power.
Do you know how many of those would have sold? And the only thing they did bring out, I found, was like this green pop. That was like a very limited run. I don't even know what it didn't taste good. It didn't taste anything like Ecto
Green
Cooler at
pop,
all.
yeah, green pop. It's like no
That's
thank
not like that's not what everybody
Yeah.
would want.
No.
no.
Well, Phil, I mean, we said it the other night. We saw it at the Cleveland Gaming
I was
Classic.
just
right?
thinking that. I
A
was just thinking
single
that.
box Ecto Cooler unopened. What would the guy want for it?
$350.
Yeah, $350.
People on eBay. People have actually got full packs on eBay, like full
Yep.
4-packs or 6-pack or whatever. Like, I don't know why. Wow, that sounds like they were ripping people off at that expo, guys. I don't know what to say.
That may be true, but that's what those things are. They're sought after.
But for what though? You're not going to.
I don't know, right? It's not like you're going to drink it.
It's-
What would you do with it?
It's nostalgia, guys. It's,
Unless-
That's what it is.
The only way I would buy something like that is if I had a super scientific mind and I was going to reverse engineer it and make my own, remaster of Ecto Cooler. That's the only purpose something like that would serve. Why else would you buy? Just to have it on your
That
shelf?
would be it. Like Phil said,
Liquid.
that nostalgia bug bites you.
I mean, I can understand like the cereal box with the Batman band.
Yeah.
I could totally understand you buying that, but the Ecto Cooler, I'm just like,
at least like a tin sign, like behind me, you can see that Superman right there. Like something like that with the logo
Right.
might be good enough. Like I understand. I tried to save a Coke can when a Milwaukee brewer hit 3,000 hits way in the 90s, and you got to open it eventually because it's gonna like it's gonna explode eventually. Like all that carbon. No, I like Jesse's coffee mug.
that's brilliant.
Yeah, and Marie Arcade was just saying it holds an entire pot of coffee.
Is
It
that
does,
thing
too.
textured? It looked like it was
Yeah, it's
Like-
3-dimensional.
with the muscle. Oh yeah. Wow, that is huge.
Yeah,
How many ounces is it?
that's what she said.
How many pots of coffee are in that mug right now?
Not
At
enough.
least one.
So, all right, guys, we've been going on for about half an hour right now. So we do have to pay to keep the lights on, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's right.
So we are going to cut to a commercial break.
And we'll
Guys.
get canceled if our toys don't sell.
Yes,
right.
right. So
Yeah.
Look for the stretch bad guy Mike Worley, like the stretch Armstrong. We're bringing it back.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we are going to cut away for a minute, everybody. Stay right here. We will be back right after this.
And now, this message.
Are trolls ruining your life? Can't make a video or leave a comment without being constantly attacked? Well, your savior is here. Eliminate those pesky trolls with Miak. Original Bulgarian Miak is made only from the biggest and strongest Miak trees. Miak will literally melt those trolls down into a steaming puddle of goo with just the smallest amount. Don't believe us? Listen to these non-paid native Bulgarian citizens. Miak, available now at all your Miak outlets.
Miak is not guaranteed to eliminate or reduce troll attacks. As a matter of fact, it's scientifically proven by Dr. Ernst P. Well himself that it is in fact milk that eliminates trolls and not Miak at all. Consuming Miak will cause severe stomach pains and massive diarrhea. Miak trees are very rare and only located in remote areas of African forest and will require a flat shipping rate of $2,000 to ship to your house.
Miak, from concentrate.
This is Larry Kenny, otherwise known as Lion-O, the Lord of the Thundercats. You are watching Nostalgia Power, an epically awesome new YouTube show that features the bad guy, Mike Worley, PD7, Zod Rider, and Jester Tester. Embrace your inner child, and Thundercats, ho!
Now back to our show.
Oh man, that is awesome.
I don't know. Where do we get these product placements, man? Can we get some like real sponsors? Miak? I don't know. Well, I guess if you have troll problems, though, supposedly it works.
Yeah, it works.
I mean, Ernest wouldn't lie, right?
That was great.
No, that's great, man.
Great.
Awesome commercial.
All right. So, anyways, to get back on topic a little bit. So, the whole Saturday morning experience, was it a big deal? Was it a big deal to you guys? I mean, it was to me. You know, I don't want to speak for everybody, but
no, it was.
Like, was it a pretty
my favorite aspect of it was always when you could, when the new season of cartoons would start and they would do a show that was showcasing the new shows that were going to come out for that year. So every year you would have where they would do that, and you would be so excited about new stuff that was premiering, and that's one of the things that I miss about Saturday morning cartoons.
So what was some of your favorite shows on Saturday? I'm not sure how old you are, Zod. I imagine you're
my favorites were Voltron, Thundercats. A guilty pleasure of mine was Gem and the Holograms. I, for some reason, used to love that show. The storyline was interesting to me. I always thought that the music was kind of catchy too. I mean, I know it was geared towards girls.
I totally forgot about that.
But the idea behind it was to be appealing to both boys and girls, because they wanted boys and girls to watch it, because they wanted it to be a show that, you know, you could watch it with your sister. And I remember my sister used to like it, used to watch it, but I used to like it too. And I became a big fan of it. And it was one of those things where, like, even later on, as an adult, I still go back and watch it every now and then.
Yeah, that was kind of like lumped in with G.I. Joe and Transformers.
They would kind of put it between stuff like that. So you get like, I think that's how it aired. I think it was something like that, where you'd have G.I. Joe, and then you would have Gem and the Holograms, and then you would have something else like GoBots or Thunder or
GoBots. What a letdown, huh?
GoBots.
Getting a GoBots toy, like, come on. This isn't a
challenge of the GoBots. I mean,
that's what your great aunt, got you for Christmas because you didn't know any different.
If you couldn't afford Transformers, GoBots were your go-to. But here's the thing about GoBots. GoBots are kind of sought after now because there's that nostalgia power.
Yeah.
Again,
well, retro is in. So
now
is in. I'll take it. This is where we are. This is the whole, thing. I mean, it's so appropriate. Guys, we can literally, any toy that we talk about now, that nostalgia power, it's huge.
Yeah.
It is. Just seeing it. Like you go to a vintage collectible store and you see something like, oh my gosh, I remember this. And you don't think of it until you see it again.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's why it's great when you always point it out on your walk and talks when you go into these stores and use these where they sell these vintage action figures and various play sets and things like that. It's like, a few times you saw Castle Grayskull, and I think there was one where you actually saw the Snake Mountain, the old Snake Mountain play set.
With the microphone.
And there was always the
Remember that
one
thing?
kid growing up with me. There was always that
the
one
microphone,
kid in the
remember?
neighborhood that one kid in the neighborhood who had Castle Grayskull. There was always
I
one kid that
I
had.
didn't have both, but what kids had like the aircraft carrier for
Yeah,
G.I. Joe? Like,
the
I mean,
USS Flag, right? Like that
Yeah.
was that was the thing.
Imagine.
Like having the action figures is one thing, but some of these play sets that they had for these toys were just that US flag. If anybody doesn't know what he's talking about, I mean, this thing was legitimately like 5 feet long.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
bad.
it's a desk.
I mean, I think you can buy them now for about $1,000.
Yeah,
Not
put it right
involved.
next to
It was-
that.
They could keep those.
Yeah.
For real.
Imagine buying the Super 7 Thundercat Slayer right now.
No.
It's what is that?
I didn't have the Thundercats lair, but I did have the Thunder Tank, and I had the
You had to
Eye
lay
of
them down.
Thundera.
They couldn't sit up because the Thundercat figures are they were so big, and you had to lay them into the.
They were bigger than the He-Man figures.
I know,
Right.
Smaller, but they were more. But then they were also more posable too, and you could articulate a lot better with the Thundercats figures than the He-Man. He-Man, it was like they just generically did like this mold where it was just kind of where I always try to figure out where they kind of based the He-Man, what they kind of based the He-Man mold off of. Because like G.I. Joe was its own thing, and you always had a lot of figures that kind of used G.I. Joe as a template.
Sure.
Joe was actually higher quality. So
and G.I. Joe was like the older kids' toy. Like we all started off with like the superpowers, and then Masters of the Universe, and then we all went the G.I. Joe route.
Right, the superpowers were the DC Superman, Batman,
Robin,
yeah. Everybody had the same figures. They were all the Lex Luthor in the green suit.
Those were my favorite. I think going. I mean, it's tough between Masters of the Universe and the superpowers. Those were my favorite toys. But there was so much like Transformers. I mean, it's just like you couldn't have enough of this stuff. There was always something that you wanted.
Right. And like you said, you had the toys, and then you had the vehicles were like the next step up. And then you had the big giant play sets. And if you're lucky, you had a vehicle here or there, like G.I. Joe's had tons of vehicles, planes, boats, tanks, all that stuff. And then you had the play sets like the Cobra Temple and
the biggest place that I had. The biggest place that I had was the Millennium Falcon, and it opened up, and you could put, and it was very, very detailed, and you could have Han and Chewie in the front cockpit, and then they actually had all of the details from Star Wars in it, right down to the little
game
monster game, the chess game. Yeah, it was all in there, and you had a place where Luke.
I think it was pretty big too, wasn't it?
It was huge. Yeah, I remember. I had it.
Worth a pretty penny now.
Oh yeah.
The biggest one we had was the Ghostbusters Firehouse.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was just thinking of yours. You have the newer one. Is that the original?
Oh, it's the original, but I had since rebought it. Because that was
brother and I. We were into
it one time.
We were into a lot of Matchbox and Hot Wheel cars.
Nice.
Yeah, those were big.
Hundreds of those. We had the whole track system. Remember those tracks that you set up and all that?
Yeah, those were cool.
There was so much stuff. It's like, as a kid, we were into like 7 different things that year. So it's like you started off with one toy, then you're like at Mask, your Thundercats, Voltron. Like it was always something different. Every time you had a birthday or a Christmas, you were asking for something different. And if somebody gave you a gift that you were already like phased out of that, like what a letdown,
Yep, because it changed so fast. Yeah, there was always something.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it before. It's always some relative that's like, brings you. It's something that you were not into anymore, and you got to like fake it and go, "Oh yeah, I love that."
Mhm.
And then you trade it the next
You
week.
trade it with someone else.
Yeah. Oh, I've made such bad trades, and my dad would get so mad at me, and then you'd have to trade back, and oh, you didn't know anything.
I
It's like,
remember.
"Ah,
I
trade
remember.
back."
I did a really bad trade for a vehicle Voltron. I think I traded like two real cool He-Man figures for a vehicle Voltron, and I was so disappointed later on.
Yep, I remember making trades, and then exactly like you said, your parents getting involved with their parents and making you guys trade it back.
Oh yeah.
And it was everything. Like Phil, just
Especially
walking
old
down-
Nintendo games.
Well, yes, that was a good one.
Yeah. How disappointed were you when you saw the commercial for Super Nintendo? You're like, oh my, all this work I've achieved, all these games, and now they have something
And
different.
I was very
You have to
late
start all over.
getting into the NES came out in 85. I don't think I got mine until like 1990. So like a dummy, the next year, 1991, is when the Super Nintendo was released. So you're not asking your parents for a new video game system already after you just got one.
You could have asked, but I don't know.
Well, what the answer would have been.
Yeah.
So we sat on that for a couple years before we were able to upgrade. But yeah, like seeing that like blew your mind.
Oh, you know what? Has anybody remember lawn darts?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
We had those as kids.
Did you? Because
I think they were my mom's actually.
Because I'll tell you why. I lived in the city, so I didn't have any grass. We only had concrete there. But we went out to my cousins. We were invited out to my cousin's husband's sister's house. Okay, and let me preface it by saying she divorced him like a month later. But anyway,
Wow. Oh my gosh.
We went out to the house, and there was a brother and sister out there, and they were playing with these lawn darts, and they were crazy. I mean, they were crazy. It sticks in my head. They, you remember what you had to do? You put like a hula hoop on the ground, and you had to throw them, and it had to get into the ring. Okay, well, they laid down. The sister would lay down like 50 feet away, and the brother was throwing lawn darts to see how close he could get to her. And my brothers and I said, "These two are crazy." Well, it just so happened that they outlawed those. They're not allowed to be sold. You can't even buy them. You can't even buy them secondhand now because they're illegal. And I think it was because of those two morons. Yeah.
Right, because isn't the objective like you grabbed it by the tail and you just whipped it up in the air?
Yeah,
it would go
had
up.
A giant point.
Yeah, and it was a huge point on the end. It was way down, and you try to make it in that ring.
Kids got killed by it.
Oh,
so
I mean,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What the hell
came
are
out
they
with
thinking?
the Hazardous Products Act.
What were those little things you get at the carnival where you'd throw them and they kind of like they
The little snapper things.
Yeah, it's like a little white.
Oh yeah,
egg.
Yeah.
It's always the bullies. Like you get some smart
Snaps.
aleck.
They were called snaps or snappers. Yeah.
You don't see those anymore.
You could still find them around like 4th of July.
Yeah,
but they're the same thing. What was the first thing you did with those when you were a kid? You'd be throwing them at
What's funny about those is that like half the bag would be duds. You just throw them, nothing would happen.
Yeah, exactly. There'd be half of them wouldn't even work, and you're stomping on, throwing them at the dog.
And remember squeezing them? You can snap them off just by squeezing them.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to hurt the fingers. Like you didn't know if like that was gunpowder. Like what was that inside of there?
I don't know.
It was a little black powder, wasn't it?
Pepper powder.
It was almost like sand and black powder together or something like that.
Yeah.
The things that they used to market to kids back then. Yeah, the lawn darts was insane. Now you can't even
buy
cigarettes
or
toy gun.
I know.
But orange thing on
that's
the
how
end,
you get started. You eat those candy cigarettes and you're a smoker.
Yep.
Bringing that up, Mike, we were so big into guns when we were kids. We played SWAT. We played all these different things. We ran out in the street. Now, this was in the city. And I remember the cops just coming by, and we were running in front of the cop car and everything with the guns and everything. Today, they just shoot you right down, even if you're 6 years old.
Well, that's why that's orange on the end of those guns. Like I remember in the 80s, we lived in San Diego, and I was at my friend's house, and we were pretending to fire at his neighbor, and he told us the most scary story ever about how the cops would shoot. They shot a kid because he did that. Ever since, I mean, that's exactly why those guns always have that orange tip on it.
There were some pretty realistic looking ones.
Yeah.
Then we got into the laser tag.
Yeah.
You guys ever have any of the laser tag that you could wear the vest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't that Captain Power? Wasn't there a Captain Power laser tag? Like, do you guys remember that?
Captain Power. I remember Captain Power having that interactive game, but I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know if he had a laser tag.
We were talking laser tag, but
we were talking about Captain Power the other day. But I
remember there was also a bootleg laser tag too. There was some alternative. I can't remember what it was called.
I'm sure there was. Yeah,
but it was an alternative to laser tag.
And then there was whatever the knockoff, or there was probably a lot of knockoffs. But we had one, and then I just remember once it finally stopped working, using the blasters to play Star Wars because they looked very similar to
that black one looked just like it. Yeah, that
black with the red
stripe,
they had like Uzi looking squirt guns, like the battery powered squirt guns in the 80s. Like, you could not sell that now.
No, and it was funny you brought that up because my uncle was in the Navy. This was like back in the early 80s when I was like 3 or 4. And he bought one out at Puerto Rico and almost got detained getting back on his ship because he was carrying what they thought was a firearm. And he had to convince him, hey, look, this is not real. And back then, it didn't have the orange thing on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why nowadays when they ship anything like that, it's usually separate in parts.
Oh yes.
Because this way when it goes through customs and stuff, it doesn't appear to be like a weapon. It has that it has that distinction of being a toy, and it gets broken up usually in 2 or 3 parts. So you can still buy that stuff, but it just doesn't. It's just not all assembled because then, yeah.
Well, that's why I was bummed out not to bring home arcades in it, but the arcade one up, Terminator T2 guns had the orange caps on the end.
Yeah, so cheesy.
I was just looking at mine the other day, but the fact of the matter is, I'm taking them out and I'm replacing them, but I'm replacing them with red and blue guns regardless.
Oh yeah,
Dan from the Outrun Neon Sun painted his black. I know, Mike, you did too. I never painted mine. I just kind of went with it.
But you're going to replace them anyway, aren't you, Phil? You're going to switch that out.
I am, but there's still going to be like the retro shooter kit when we use this. It's still going to be blue, and you're going to have the red one. But I'm just going to live with it. I don't want to. My fear about painting is you paint it and then it's sticky. Like, have you guys ever done that? Like, you use like gloss paint.
So I had a little bit of trouble with mine. I think because I gave it a few coats and I didn't wait long enough in between coats. So on the one, it started to bubble up a little bit, and I couldn't get the bubbles away.
I don't want to. There's always a spot like on your gun. You're gonna see some bleeding. Like, you're gonna see a red or blue somewhere on there, won't you?
Yeah.
Or is it completely covered?
Like, especially underneath by the trigger.
Yep.
It
was very difficult to hit a lot of those little spots.
Yeah.
We can't not talk about Arcade One Up for like any period of time.
It always
it's always going to get mentioned, guys.
We were doing well.
Yeah, we made it 51 minutes.
I mean, Jesse's got 17 of them behind him. I mean, Mike's got one behind him.
Be a record. I was jonesing not to talk about it.
Wow.
So I want to try to bring something up. I'm going to try, and I say try. So Jesse, you sent me this yesterday, and I want to see this story. That you say you sent me a picture.
Yes.
You said there's a story behind it.
I doubt anybody in the chat or here even knows what this is. Maybe they do. If you do, let me know if you know exactly what this is.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it. So whether I can or not, maybe I can't. Well, while I'm messing around with it.
Top 5. Well, Mike's messing around with this. Top 5 cartoons. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Saturdays, just like in general, because I don't know if these cartoons are all on Saturday mornings, but my top 5 would be Masters of the Universe, not in any order, but Masters of the Universe, Super Friends or the Superpowers, Galactic Guardians, Transformers, Thundercats, Voltron.
Yeah, it's hard to put them in order. in any sort
And
of
the
order.
longer you go, you're going to keep adding. You're going to say G.I.
Oh, yeah.
Joe, or
Absolutely.
you're going to have Silverhawks or Mask. I mean, there's just so many cartoons, Ninja Turtles. Like you could name this stuff all day long.
Yep.
Silverhawks were the shiny Thundercats. They even
Did you
used
have any
some
of the toys?
They even had some of the same voice actors.
Yeah. I saw some Silverhawks Super 7 on Amazon. I'm like, it just brought back all those memories. Like, man, just picking this stuff up again. I wasn't a big Silverhawks fan, but you watched it, you watched it. And then other networks like TNT would have their TNT Toons, and you had the Cartoon Network.
That deserves a reboot. Silverhawks deserves a reboot. Brave Star deserves a reboot. A lot of these shows.
There would be an audience for it if they brought those shows. A lot of people probably wouldn't have any clue, but I mean, look at some of the ones.
I think they should even do a Rainbow Bright reboot, for God's sake. And Care Bears deserves a reboot at this point.
I haven't heard Rainbow Bright in a long time.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good one.
I just saw a Rainbow Bright cereal. I was looking up 80s cereals.
Rainbow
and they had a Rainbow Bright cereal.
Forgot about that. Of course
yes.
they did.
Oh, there's just such
they
great
had a cereal
stuff,
for everything. You know what I stumbled across today of all things? Urkel O's. You remember that?
Brooklyn.
Steve Urkel had a cereal.
This comment by Brooklyn Menace. That's Brooklyn Menace. That's because Masters of the Universe does have a much, much darker story. The cartoon was made for toys and for kids, but the actual story, like the comics, the Masters of the Universe comics, they're a lot darker. It's a lot more adult.
Watching it now, Skeletor's kind of like a comedian on there. Like he's just so over the top. Like as an adult watching it, it's you appreciate the show a little bit more.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, TMNT was the same way. The comic was
absolutely
a lot darker and violent.
And basically the comic was supposed to be based off of the old Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns comic books with with turtles. That's what it was. It was supposed to be dark.
Couldn't make
dark
a kid
and
cartoon show like that,
right? And that's why they were in black and white. It was supposed to be really noir, and it was supposed to have a different. But they marketed it towards kids,
right.
and and when you do that, you got to change a lot of stuff.
Over in England, they weren't even allowed to say the word ninja on their TMNT.
Oh, that's why they're called
Teenage Ninja Hero Turtles.
Hero Turtles.
Hero,
the nunchucks, they had to remove those. They weren't allowed to use nunchucks.
Yeah, nunchucks were outlawed.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's why the very first TMNT movie is a little more serious, because it's more so based off the comic than the cartoon. Like they added a few elements.
To this day, it's and in my opinion, to this day, it's still the best Ninja Turtle movie.
I mean, I don't even think it's close. That's that's
the best one still.
The best. I mean,
now this last Ronin Ninja Turtle movie that they're doing now, that they're gonna put, is probably gonna be something.
I have clarification on that character. It's Michelangelo.
Yes.
I was
who the last Ronin is.
It is Michelangelo.
That one wrong. I thought it was Raphael.
Have you read? You guys haven't read it yet?
And I didn't really get into the.
Oh wow!
At some point I will though.
Last
You're
Ronin
asking us if we read anything.
Last Ronin is dope. That story is so good. Oh my god! It's that story. The Last Ronin is like the Ninja Turtle equivalent of the Dark Knight Returns. It's amazing.
Well, I'll hold out for the movie, okay?
Oh, it's fantastic! Yeah,
I know. I'll check it out.
And apparently there's going to be a video game too, so we'll see.
Oh, that's good, because I don't know. I didn't see the new the Seth Rogen Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah, I didn't either.
That was that movie.
That was
you didn't miss anything.
I feel like that was geared towards little kids, right?
Well, you know what? No, it wasn't geared towards little kids. It was geared towards idiots. Let me just put it that. They basically.
Sorry if anybody liked it.
Basically
took around this.
They basically took everything about Ninja Turtles and made it as wacky and stupid as they possibly could. They completely changed the origin. They changed April, and I'm not just talking about the fact that they race swapped April O'Neil. I don't care about that. It's just more about how much they changed her character. Her character is so much different from what she was, as the reporter that we knew throughout the original story. It was really, really bad. And Shredder wasn't even in it, by the way. Spoiler alert, till the very end.
How could you have a Ninja
Setting
Turtle
up-
movie without Shredder?
Setting up a sequel. Yeah, it was really bad.
Well,
It was really
I was
bad.
excited.
Was
I was
Crane in
excited
it?
about it. But there was no Krang either.
No. And also now I will say this. I did think that the animation style was cool.
Yeah,
Because
that was cool.
it's a very unique animation style. But the story just was terrible. Like I could see them doing a really good Ninja Turtle story with that animation style, but just not
Yeah,
in
it
the,
almost
in
gave
the
me the comic
continuity
book
that they
vibe
did. Yeah,
with
it
the
does
animation
feel
style.
like a comic book. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, but I don't know. I was excited about when I heard it was going to come out, and then I started seeing trailers and previews, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think this is for
Yeah,
me.
no, you didn't miss much. It's not for us, man.
No, I mean, if my kid ever wanted to see it, I would probably watch it for that reason only.
Yeah,
but
you're
I'm not
gonna
gonna go
watch.
see
You're
it,
gonna
man.
watch it only. You're gonna have other external reasons for watching it, not because you're really a fan of.
MG.
This is Saturday morning spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, Saturday morning spoilers for sure.
Yeah, this is. We'll just.
I
like,
really
let's
wouldn't
go on the
recommend.
sequel.
I honestly really wouldn't recommend it unless you just have to see everything Ninja Turtles. You
Right,
know?
well, this is what we're gonna do from now on. We're just gonna take a movie that is based on something we loved as a child that they remade this day currently, and then we're just gonna tear it apart.
I mean, it depends. I mean, if
Sounds pretty good.
it was good,
No,
it
they've
could
done
have
a
been
good
good.
job. They have
Could
done a
have
good
been
job.
good.
with some.
It could have been good. That's
Yeah,
why
I agree. Yeah, it could
I
have been.
honestly, and by all, again, when you take into account the animation style and you take into account certain things that they did, it could have been good, but it was made for idiots by idiots. So when you have those two
That
factors,
seems
Is
to
anyone
be.
else? Is anyone else Seth Rogen out, or is it just me?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
I
God.
was pretty much.
I
I
was
done with
6,
him
7
a few
years
years
ago.
ago.
I mean, I was done with him when he tried to make that. He tried to make the Green Hornet. I was like, "What are
Oh
you
my
doing,
gosh,
Oh,
it
man?"
was
They made that
horrible.
movie that was called "This Is the End." Did you guys ever see that one? That was actually really funny. But that was
No,
like
I
it
didn't
for
see
me
that.
and that whole crew.
Yeah, the Green Hornet thing. Oh,
That
God, don't
was
even bring
what a
that up.
disaster, huh?
Yeah. The Green
God.
Hornet. It made me cry. It was so bad. I was like,
Yeah, it was,
what are you doing, man?
yeah.
Like you
Oh,
don't do.
Andy's-
I mean,
Oh,
Bruce
man.
Lee. Come on, Bruce Lee. What are we
Yeah.
Doesn't make
talking
coffee. He
about
doesn't
here?
make cappuccino. What is this?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Okay, that's an example of something that they
yeah. That's
just recently made
that's
that was
actually-
good.
That's actually good.
I
Yeah.
still have my hopes high for X-Men 97. I'm excited about that.
I'm nervous about it because I've heard.
Well,
some
I'm
things.
afraid. Yeah, I mean,
no
please
spoilers on
don't
X-Men
ruin it.
97.
Well, is
No,
that
no,
not-
I
is it
don't
out
have.
yet?
I don't have any spoilers because it's not out yet. But
Yeah,
I've just heard some things and read some things that I'm not happy about that I hope isn't true. So I'm gonna reserve judgment until I see it. But I will watch X-Men
Me too.
97 because X-Men was phenomenal. I mean,
amazing, right?
I mean,
it's
if you
one of
go
the
to
top
the-
one of the top 5 best animated shows of all time.
I have a hard
in
time
the
arguing.
90s, you have Batman the animated series, X-Men,
Yep.
and then later on the Justice League that was like 2000, 2001, 2002. Those were great cartoons.
Yeah.
And as like me, if I'm working out in
Batman
in the
Beyond.
basement, I'm watching it. I'm watching
Yeah.
that stuff. It's
Yeah.
good television.
Yeah,
Well,
we're good.
Phil, you've been coming across some of the new X-Men 97 figures, right?
I'm a little
so
disappointed.
The toys are out there right now.
They're not selling.
Is there a Mr. Sinister?
No Mr.
Oh
Sinister.
my gosh, there was a clip from the X-Men cartoon where Charles Xavier was so oblivious. He's like, Mr. Sinister, and Magneto goes, "I've heard the name. Frankly, I'm not impressed." It was a
More-
classic cartoon.
Remember more?
Rangus.
Oh man,
Morph, yeah. That show
Yeah,
still
and he
holds
was-
up really well.
Yeah, they killed him off well, they didn't kill him off, but they turned him bad in season 1, and he shows
Morph.
up.
Yeah, I think it
later
was like
on.
the first episode. They left him basically.
Yeah, like he has every reason to hate the X.
I would say, yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if that were me, I would probably be like that too. I mean,
bro, you left me to die.
Right.
Ralphie, because it stopped in 96, so they're picking it right back up. So it's like 1997,
It's like nothing.
similar to Superman Returns.
It's
Like,
it's allegedly going to be in continuity with what came
pick
before.
up where the old one left off.
Allegedly, but I mean, some of these writers have been saying some things that make me think that it's not necessarily going to be that way. But we'll see.
Watch the last season of X-Men on Disney Plus. It's not as the animation changed.
Yeah, that's why I brought this comment up, and I did read something about that. Like the last season, I think it was just the very last season, they changed the animation companies, and it was almost hard to watch. Like I couldn't watch that last season after watching the first 6 or so.
It's like the Pride of the X-Men, where Wolverine sounded like he was from.
Oh yeah, Pride of the X-Men,
which brought us a fantastic arcade game. Thank you. I mean,
that's
a show
X-Men.
that never took off.
That's the arcade.
Yeah, it was based on. It was a
He
long
like
time before I knew that. Yep.
The arcade game was made to sell that cartoon, and the cartoon was made to sell toys.
Yep. And
that was supposed to be what X-Men 92 was.
Yeah, and it never went past that pilot, correct? Like it was
right. The pilot was all we got.
That was actually a Sunday morning. So I remember, like, my parents were divorced. So if I was with my mom that weekend, we were at my other grandparents. There was a block on Sunday mornings when you would see that every single Sunday. And at the end, you'd see like the silver Spider-Man, like over the Marvel logo. And you'd always hope to see something else. It was Pride of the X-Men every single week on the same channel. It never changed.
Have you guys ever watched the full episode? It's on YouTube if you have.
Yeah, I've seen the whole thing. Yeah, it's not good.
It's better that what happened, that they canceled that and then brought us the X-Men that we all know, which is far superior.
Disappointing is Colossus wasn't in X-Men 92, and
not
other than that,
not as a steady character.
Well, right.
He was, I think, made like a handful of appearances. That was it, which is a shame because, to me, he was always one of the original X-Men.
Well, right? I always thought they should have had Kitty Pryde instead of Jubilee.
Yeah, that's another
cartoon. I was a little bit irritated by that because it always felt like, she was meant to have.
Oh my gosh,
I don't know,
or at least the Dazzler.
Yeah, because neither one of those was in X-Men 92, were they?
No, they weren't. But they were in
Jubilee,
the game.
I think Jubilee, was she created for that show specifically? Because I don't recall her being.
I don't know. There was another.
Anything.
There was another X-Men.
It's hard to remember. Like at this
it is.
With the comics, because I had a on again, off again relationship with the X-Men comics as a kid, so I don't really remember how far back Jubilee goes as a character. I'm wondering if Jubilee was created for that show.
It might have been,
and then became a big comic book character, or maybe she was a character prior, but wasn't as popular, and they wanted her to become popular.
Yeah, but it just surprises like why they would leave out, like he said, Colossus or Nightcrawler or Iceman.
Right,
what I mean? Like
very
popular characters. I mean, who knows? But either way, the show is amazing.
You have Colossus and whoever they're fighting that week. I mean, it's over.
Yeah, that's why they would always bring him in whenever they were fighting Juggernaut or somebody that nobody could physically stand up against.
Yeah, the whole relations, like that was Professor X's stepbrother. Like they were all related somehow.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
And Magneto was like kind of a good guy, kind of a bad guy.
Showcase has it right here.
Yeah, Jubilee, this one right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, so Jesse, I was able to get. I think I can get that picture. Do you want to share your story?
If you can do it, if not, we can wait.
I
We
think
do it
I
next
think I
time.
can. I have it pulled up. I have no idea. Tell me if you could see this. Can you see it?
No. Oh, hang on, something's coming up.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. You can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right. You know what that is?
Looks
Yeah,
like
what
a
is that? First off, it looks like an old VA or old camcorder or something.
Yeah. You guys know VHS video recorders, right? When they first came out with the VHS camcorder. Okay, well, this was the precursor to that. All right, this came out in, I think, 1979. And my father had to have every single new tech there ever was. All right. So this was the first VHS video camera we had. And you had to carry that thing around like that, just like that. That thing weighed like 35 pounds. All right. So you were basically carrying around a VHS recorder and with the camera, and that was all wired and attached to it. Well, anyway, my father got all excited about it. He went out and bought this thing, and there was three of us, three boys. So he said, "Oh, let's go to the park and we'll take some video and everything." So he was like all into this, right? So when we were in the park, people were looking at him with this whole setup. I mean, that's not my dad, but it kind of looked just like that.
I was going to ask that. Like, don't tell me that's your dad with this thing.
No.
PD6.
My dad.
PD6, yeah, Phil's dad.
My dad was the spitting image of Roy Scheider from Jaws. Anyway, so we're all there. Now we've got a crowd looking at us like we're some moronic looking people. Like they thought he was like a news guy or something, and he's taking the kids. Well, anyway, he says, "All right, run around." So my little brother, he's like being goofy and stupid. So he said, "Well, why don't we go down to the playground area?" Well, the way this park was, it was on a giant hill, and you had to go down this huge hill. They actually called it Suicide Hill, because the kids would skateboard down this hill and whatever. So he started off going down this hill, and I'll never forget it. I forget how much this thing cost. It was a lot of money back in '79. Well, if you look at that pack, the front of that strap came off. And all I remember is on Suicide Hill, that entire huge monstrosity that he's got hanging from him, it snapped off and it stayed on its edge, and it rolled down Suicide Hill, busting into 100 pieces. It ripped the camera out of his hands. This is the first time he used this. Ripped the camera out of his hands, and it went all the way down Suicide Hill and smacked one of those whatever it was, the horse, the thing that whatever. And all I remember, it was the first time I see my father act like Griswold, Clark W. Griswold. Like he was grabbing his hair and everything. And I remember us as kids, we ran down and said, we'll take care of it, Dad. We'll get it. Don't worry about it. And all we were doing was picking up all the parts, the cover that's on there, and everything was just all spewed out all everywhere. Oh my God.
Trying to do the world's first Jackass video.
Yeah, and how much did those cost? Like,
I can only imagine. Probably like $700 back then.
At least. Yeah.
It sounds like kind of like how it was when the DeLorean got hit by the train in Back to the Future
just
Part 3.
Shredded,
shredded, man.
That I don't think I've ever seen that. So that takes VHS tapes. That was like the very first.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that.
Crazy. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll never forget that, where the edge, it just stayed on its edge and it just kept rolling. You know when something rolls down a hill and then it starts lifting off the ground and going and everything? Yeah, that's what it was doing.
Oh, big shout out to Dan, Outrun the Neon Sun. I just saw he's in the chat.
There he is.
It's good to see it, Dan.
Sorry, I didn't want to pull up
Dan.
comments when we were looking at that because I didn't want it. It was covering Jesse's face up. Well, we've been going on for an hour and 12 minutes, Phil. You want to start?
We got some trivia I want to.
Yeah, do you want to start?
I want to go over
getting
here.
into that? This banner's been going across the bottom. There is going to be a little giveaway, but we do have some nostalgia trivia.
We got some fun prizes, and those fun prizes reflect back to when we used to get cereal, and there was actually a toy inside, because now it's a barcode. Like you get Cracker Jack. And guys, there's no toys anymore.
What fun is that?
Like those octopuses that would like crawl down your refrigerator. Remember those things?
I love those. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
you get a Hot Wheels toy. I mean, you get
Rollers, yeah.
something. Let's start off with some cereal questions.
Okay,
some
so how are we
cereal
going to do
trivia.
this? Like, you're going to read the question, and it's going to be basically whoever can be first to type it into the chat, and it has to be correct. No spelling errors, no abbreviations, nothing
are we
like
doing
that.
the giveaway? Are we doing the
Well,
giveaway?
okay,
now?
but yeah, well, that's going to be how the giveaway is going to go. So
That's
the
how the
first
giveaway-
few questions are going to just be for fun, right?
Just for fun.
Yep.
We're gonna get warmed up
And we'll
here.
let
We're
you
gonna
know
get
when the
mind
ones
going.
are going to count. So
You would need 10 bowls. You would need 10 bowls of cereal to equal the nutrition value in just one bowl of what cereal, guys?
think about it. You can't spell. Well, looks like that tough. Tough, you know what?
I mean,
Matt
don't make
Astor's
me out to be
illiterate.
too old here.
Can't spell. I'm
Wheaties.
illiterate. Good guess, Hot Rangus, but that's not it.
Oh,
Golden blow.
That's also a good guess.
looks like
Wait
your
a
brother
minute.
nailed it.
Yeah,
Your
MJ87.
brother
That was
nailed
it, right?
total. Yes. That's
Everybody was on the right track. Wheaties, all brand, Special K, colon blow. That's all.
Special K. If you get total now, sometimes and I'm not eating Captain Crunch or Count Chocula, I'll get total. And if you look on the back of the box now, there's like 27 different pills on there. So
if you're eating this, you might also require these. The worst cereal-based question ever, he said.
Oh my gosh. What cereal uses the slogan, "They're great"?
Gotcha.
If you can't get this one, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You're out.
We're going to start banning people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're just trying to ease you into it. It's still early for some people. I know, like Dan and Ralphie
Tiger
and all them
O's.
guys. They probably just
come
rolled out
on.
of bed. Tiger O's.
Yes. Frosted Flakes.
All
Your
right,
brother
so-
is he's on fire today.
He's a cereal guy, is he? Gallagher guy, yeah. He was the first one that popped up for me.
Ralphie,
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Everybody's
Andy's.
nailed it. Okay.
All right. One more cereal, and then we'll go on to some cartoons. Okay. There are 2 scoops of raisins in every box of what? And you got to get the brand right. So 2 scoops of raisins
And what?
in every box of what cereal?
Definitely C3POs.
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
C3POs
There
were
we go.
awesome.
Right. Raisin Bran. What brand, guys? There was Post Raisin Bran. There was
Kellogg's.
Kellogg's. I'm trying to think. General Mills had, I think
Hold
they
on.
had the Raisin Bran, not the Raisin Bran Crunch, but there was something.
Did Outrun nail it? Was it? Oh, nope. Kellogg's
Not
Raisin
Kellogg's.
Bean. It's definitely not Raisin Bean.
No.
Raisin Bean, is that a new coffee? Either a new coffee or a new energy drink.
Raisin flavored coffee.
Okay, couple of cartoon questions, and then we'll get into the prizes. Okay, just to get warmed up, keep the brain stimulated here. On Inspector Gadget, what is his niece's name?
That was I used to watch. I was a pretty big Inspector Gadget fan.
I think there
I
was a
was too.
character
I
in
love that.
Pee-wee's Playhouse that
Great
had the
show.
same name.
Oh, was there in Pee Wee's Playhouse?
Yeah, I believe
Well,
so.
There we go. Everybody's nailing that one. Jeez.
Who doesn't
You know-
love Penny at this point?
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that
Yep.
anywhere where there's a girl involved.
They all remember.
What was the dog's name? Do you remember that one? That one's a little trickier, I
I
think.
cannot think of it. I was just thinking that.
It just came to me. That's why I asked it. This has nothing to do with the trivia, by the way. I'm curious if anybody else remembers it. And I haven't watched Inspector Gadget and
Oh, I love that
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
the
a long
cartoon
time.
was great. The
That-
movie
that
That was
was
after
horrible.
school though.
Brains, or no, it was Brain.
Brain.
Yeah, it was
It was
just Brain.
Brain.
That's right.
Brains.
Did
That's
that
a
come
tough
on
one.
after school for you too, Mike?
Yeah, yep. That was
Yeah.
definitely a
Yep.
after school cartoon.
What did Saturday mornings end with? What was the last cartoon that would before like live action shows would happen? What was it was always the same.
I know the answer.
Be like 10 o'clock, 10:30. This was the last 30 minutes of cartoons.
One of the best ones too.
Yeah, and to this day, like
Right, Looney Tunes.
Yep.
Yeah, those cartoons. Those. I mean, that's on the Mount Rushmore of cartoons.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God, yeah. I mean, look how many generations that spanned. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, we're gonna do the prizes.
Sure. You gonna
All right.
show what they are, or how are we gonna?
Well, we're
Is it
gonna
gonna be like
we're
a
gonna
surprise?
I don't know, we're gonna pull it. We're gonna pull it out of the cereal box. So
Nice.
the first 1 or 2 prizes, and the winner, just email me pdavenport27@gmail.com and just send me your address and I'll ship it to you. We're gonna do this every week. We're gonna have some fun stuff, and this week it's just gonna be the cartoons trivia. So Keith Lance Pidge, Defender of the Universe Lions. What show is it from?
Say it again, just so they get that.
Keith Lance Pidge, Defender of the Universe Lions. What show is it from? And you got to get the spelling right.
No saying. He's not pulling a KI cabinet out of that Count Chocula box. Oh, but he made a joke, but he was able to nail it. He's the first one I'm seeing, right?
Okay, so I'm going to pull out from the box is a Hobby Lobby bag. I'm not going to stick my hand in the box, guys. Only kids do that, right?
So, Dave, all right. So this happens sometimes when I'm watching live streams.
So
Sometimes you start lagging behind.
A Spider-Man decal, and it is waterproof. So I will ship that to you.
Nice.
Just email me, pd720 pdavenport27@gmail.com, or shoot me a text. I think we have each other's phone numbers, so I will ship it to you.
So, all right.
Want to hear a quick story?
Sure.
My older brother, he was a pain in the neck. Anyway, anytime we got cereal that had those marshmallows in it, he would sit up all night, just take all the marshmallows out of the box and then just eat the marshmallows in his bowl. So every time we got up in the morning, all we had was that crap, whatever it was, the corn or whatever that crap. Yeah, he did it every time.
Did you just want a spoonful, like just the oats from Lucky Charms? Like you'd want that flavor once in a while. You like kind of marshmallow it out. You just want a scoop of just
the cereal.
Oats.
Yeah, but I remember that too. You have a big giant bowl of just the marshmallows.
Yeah, that wasn't good either.
This is a tough question, and actually Zod was the only one who could answer this before the show. So sticking with Voltron here, what color is Pidge's lion? So
I did not know
just
this
a
one.
recap of Voltron. Here's the 5 lions. What color is the lion? And the prize we've
got a winner already.
A Care Bear Pez dispenser.
Wow.
Pow.
It was the green one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Okay,
Mad
Scott.
Astra. Oh, wait. I might have jumped the gun. Ralphie's comment came up before.
Oh, Ralphie
got it first.
Sorry, Mad Astra.
Sorry. Next week we'll have more. All right, Ralphie. So
these things come in so fast.
Ralphie, just shoot me a message on Instagram, your address, and I'll ship it to you.
All right, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good.
Hour and 22 minutes. Anybody got anything else you want to? There's the 2 prizes right there. Look, that just screams nostalgia. That's something that you pull out of a cereal box.
I can't wait. I can't wait till next week when Phil pulls out the Smurf on the skateboard. I mean, honestly.
Or a California raisin. We need to find some good stuff. I got some shopping to do. Remember those little Smurfs?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Puppet
MG,
shows.
Fraggle Rock.
Oh yeah. Fraggle Rock, the Muppets, the Muppet Show. Oh heck yeah. We'll probably touch into all of this at some point.
Yeah.
68 grams of sugar. That's right. That's what all the good cereals had.
That's right.
Oh, good morning, Garage Gamer.
Oh yeah, he's way out there, huh? On the West Coast. Well, that's why we tried to make it.
Replay.
Yep, we tried to take everybody into consideration. That's why it's a little later on the East Coast, but we didn't want to have it start at 5 a.m. for the West Coast guys.
Now that we got to get back into as much adult as we can. Everyone in the chat, what are your plans the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend? What do you have to do? I have a wedding. Kelly and I are going to a wedding today. I got to mow the lawn.
That could be fun. I mean, sometimes weddings are fun.
But then I'll do my walk and talk tomorrow, and actually found some cool stuff to check out tomorrow.
Awesome.
What about you, Zod? What do you got going on?
Oh, I got some work to do today, some writing, and then I got another show that I do later tonight.
Oh yeah, that is tonight.
Co-host Pass. I don't get it. We do our show every other Saturday, so it's.
And what time is that coming on?
That'll be that's 8:00 Central.
Awesome. We'll be checking that out.
Everybody stop in, say hi to Zod.
Side Rider.
Those are some good shows.
Jesse, what do you got going on?
Oh, it's a shopping day today. I don't know exactly where, but I know my wife just said it before, so I can only imagine where we're going. I think we're going to Costco's. Actually, I think we're going to your places.
See if the Pac-Man's still there. They've been selling out. I saw them online.
Mine didn't have any in there.
What about Star Wars? Really?
No arcade one-ups in mine.
Mike, what do you got going on today?
Well, the weather's starting to break here a little bit. It was real nice out the other day. We got a little bit of a cold front. It's about 50 degrees, but it's sunny. So I may get up into the attic and start busting out Halloween decorations and start doing all that thing. We usually have a little Halloween party here every year.
You escaped the rain, huh? We're getting.
We got some yesterday. Tropical. Yeah, we got it pretty heavy. You're probably getting it today. We're
getting it today. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nasty, gloomy, rained all day long. But yeah, today it's nice. So
yeah, yesterday it was
nice. Looks like college football, chaotic.
Baseball playoffs.
Andy's game room. Dave with the Phillies. And Biggie D, you're in Orlando.
He's in Disney World.
That's awesome.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I turned the heat on this morning. Fall is hit.
Yeah, I know. I got to change
40 degrees outside.
Wow.
Yeah, it's time to do adult stuff now. I know that's trying to prolong signing off.
Yeah, just like the end of Pee-wee's Playhouse. You know,
that's it. Time to go. Get outside. You've been there for too.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, thanks for stopping by, everybody. It was a great time.
Awesome first episode.
Today.
Yeah, hope everybody enjoyed it. So we will be back next week, same time, right? 10 o'clock Eastern. Same bat channel, 8 o'clock Central, 7 Pacific. Is that how that works? Or you guys are only an hour behind. I'm sorry. 10, 9, and 7. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Just look
Central.
for the link.
It was 10 o'clock your time when we started.
Yeah.
And Jesse, Zod and I are in Central time.
Yeah.
It's the West Coast, guys. I know it's early for you, but Mike's a parent and he's got to get he's got duties to do, and we can't go too late.
He's got duties
on a Saturday.
Oh,
yeah, I got duties and other duties. All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks.
Next week.